Typically, a Kaizen event is a short duration, a short period of time where you do rapid improvements. It's analogous to if you were going to eat the elephant, maybe take the whole leg in 4 days, and then you're left with action items at the end of the event. So it's very episode, or we say episodic type of improvement events. Kata is a routine for practicing and becoming a part of your daily continuous improvement culture. It's taking small steps, so maybe just a small bite of the elephant. The 5 questions keep you focused and targeted on how do you want this process to operate in the next week or 2 weeks out, and what obstacles are keeping you from operating in that target condition. We sit back and look at the current situation and then develop experiments or PDCA cycles to try and go around those obstacles to get one step closer to that target condition. Every day a step closer, and all of this is in line with the vision and the challenge for the company.
This week we have part two of our podcast interview with Scott Simmons about strategic deployment and lean. I hope you enjoyed the podcast this week.
That's awesome. The one question I wanted to follow up with that, since you were talk about the strategic deployment and everything, I'm kind of a fan of Simon Sinek. He's got the book out, which Start with Why, and I've heard him say many times in YouTube and TED Talks that the 80s and 90s business model of the purpose of the business meaning is to maximize shareholder value.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he says that's not necessarily the right direction to take. What's your view on this? And with that Giorno quote, I think you might have a different thinking about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do have a degree in business, and one of the things that are taught in the business school is that the role of the leader is to maximize shareholder value. And just recently, maybe a year ago, there was quite a rumbling when somebody on one of the major businesses was talking about that in Wall Street and saying, really we're pursuing the wrong thing. Where I believe it ought to be is that a leader's role is to maximize creative benefit, to maximize the creativity within the organization, that pull for it. So you will get, in my thinking, in my opinion, you will get shareholder value. It will be the outcome of maximized creative benefit. But what you don't get when you maximize shareholder value is you don't get innovation. You don't get creativity. You have to work harder at it. I'm not saying you can't get it, but
You have to
it's,
muscle it.
yeah, you got to
You're gonna muscle.
force it. And the idea is there are so many people that want to be involved in an organization. If you read the Gallup poll, the Gallup 12, they talk about an employee crisis in America. 70% of the people that show up to work don't want to be there, and of those, like 20 or 30% are actively kind of working against the company. I see it differently. I see we have a leadership engagement crisis in America because the leaders are not taking the time to challenge those folks, to get that value back out of it. So that creative benefit, on my tagline on my email, it says lead to maximize the creative benefit in your organization. And shareholder value is key. I mean, businesses are there for a reason, and it's that profits, that return on their effort, return on their investment. If they really want to maximize that, then they will take a look at all this creativity that they have in their employees, and they'll say, what new products, what new systems, what new processes, what improved quality, where are these new markets, how do we do finance different? All these types of issues can be addressed if you put the right challenges in front of people and allow them, encourage them. Actually, and this is where the improvement content coaching is so wonderful. Those challenges help them work their way through that every step. And in our experience, it's massive. I'll tell you one quick story. Last company, traditional manufacturing, batch work, all the way through, lots of inventory. Challenged the leader in the area. Says, why don't you clean out that area over there in the corner and go to work on a single part flow approach to building your product. Just go get some tables, set them up there, start setting grab a product. We use where's the Pareto principle. What's the right product for us to work on? Set it up and go to work. So he challenged his manufacturing engineering leader to do that. And over the next 6, 8, 9 months, they had 6 or 7 engineers out there working on the line with the assembly folks. And each of them had their own kata board. And they worked together. And what they did with the oversight of a second coach is they were coaching each other. He was asking them to ask the 5 questions from the first step to the next step, and then they would just roll. They would switch and go down the line. There was so much energy. There was so much creativity. There were 3 or 4 patentable items that came out of that work.
Wow.
There was a shift of days in assembly to minutes in assembly.
Oh, that's big time.
Yeah, it was huge. And it came not from somebody saying you're going to do this one-piece flow assembly. It came from the challenge of what would it take for us to do that? Knowing what we know today and all the technologies that are there today, what could we do differently? It was phenomenal. And that is the creative benefit that had been sitting idle, waiting to be released, needing somebody, that leader in that area, to go down there and work with them and coach them and help them. And they responded like you've probably seen and Julie's
Yeah.
seen. People respond. The human need to be creative is alive.
So Scott, when you were talking about that, it made me go back to think about some of the John Maxwell training that I've had and some of the Maxwell books, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I just so happen to have this here by my desk. What I was thinking of was the law of buy-in. People buy into the leader and then they buy into the vision. And I think on into that chapter, he says something like, if you want to be successful with the people who you're leading, give them a reputation to live up to. And
Yeah.
once a leader casts that, then we can get that buy-in.
Yeah, that's so true. If you trust and believe in your folks, if you say you can, they believe they can and they will. So giving a person a good reputation is a clear way to encourage them and to help them and to coach them. Giving them that, you also build that environment for them, right?
Right.
You give them that opportunity. I think when I talk about environment, I'm talking about culture. And it's both the work environment, the physical environment, and the culture of where people work. And so we talk about respect. And originally, I believe the Toyota production system was called a respect for humanity. And
Mm.
and so we've lost some of this this underlying goals for why Toyota was so successful, is because they kept investing and challenging and building their teams, their people. So their respect for humanity was great. I have a quick respect story if we have time. Worked at again at Boeing Portland. It's a Portland plant here. We machine manufacture complex components, engine mounts, aisle stands, flap tracks, main landing gear beams, that kind of stuff. And I was a assembly area manager and also a workshop leader. I'd been leading workshops, so I was working on and involved in a lot of lean activities at the time. Shingijutsu came through. Nakao-san, the president of Shingijutsu, was coming through and came through with his entourage and the GM and other leaders, and they came into our area, and he liked to go out and talk to people. So he went over to this Bore and Hone station where they're working on a flap track and introduced himself and asked the gentleman, so what's your name? And he said, how long have you been doing this kind of work? And he said, I've been doing this for like 25 years. Oh, great. You've been here 25 years. He said, how long have you been doing this work at this station? And he looked at him, he says, I've been doing this for 25 years. Nakao said, okay, thank you so much. And we then moved down and around the corner, kind of out of sight, and he turned on us. Now, he doesn't oftentimes speak English. He uses his translators most of the time, but he landed on us. He chewed us out. He said, you are disrespecting this man. You have disrespected him because you're not allowing him to grow, to learn, to teach others, and to go and do and develop new skills someplace else. This is wrong what you're doing.
Wow.
It was like, whoa, I thought respect was about treating him fairly and being nice to him and respectful, right?
Right.
In the Toyota leadership style, respecting them is keeping them growing.
Oh, yes,
And
exactly.
that was this wake up call for me around why it's so important, this system where human creativity is limitless, is the way they see it, as opposed to what we. So as a leader, I had to start shifting my thinking. How am I challenging my people? And
Yeah.
sometimes they don't want to move. They're settled.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Doesn't make you always popular. But,
Right.
yeah.
So I want to ask one thing. I saw a logo on your company, is C2V, and I think Julie talked a little bit about it, but I think I'm getting a little bit more clearer picture of it in this discussion. Help our audience understand what that logo stands for, what it means, in your words, and why it's important in the business. And I'm assuming creativity is going to come in there in respect for people, but I want to hear it in your words.
Yeah. So we believe that every human being needs to be challenged. Everyone. And we believe that every human being needs to be creative. It's a need that we have to be creative. And then we believe that every human being needs to be valued. And so C2V is challenged, creative, valued. And it's that role of a leader to put the challenges in place that I don't want to say forced, but cause creativity to happen. And the worker or the person, their value rises, their feeling of value, their skill set value, as well as the value of the organization. So it's that win-win, if you will, for both the organization and the individual. And the more of that you do and the wider spread that is, that's that creative benefit I'm talking about. And it's just, it's part of our belief that we are intended to be creative in our lives, in the work that we do. And look around us, and we continue to evolve at such a pace. The human beings, we're never going to be status quo. It's not in us. And so when you apply that to business and you say, how does this work in business? It is simply that we need to keep challenges, good challenges, big challenges, aligned to real business need challenges in front of our people. And then we have to
Yes.
have a way to coach them, to develop them. Here's your improvement kata coaching, kata coming in. Here's your Kaizen events, that learn, do model where you're out there. Here's that environment that you want to create and build for your workforce and your organization.
That's great. That's great description of that logo and everything. I enjoyed hearing you put it in your words, and it's I can get the clearer picture of what we've been talking about, everything from the strategic and executive level down to that operator you were speaking about that you got chewed out for, and then back up through the organization using that philosophy, that mindset. Well, Scott, I think we could go on probably all day, or probably a lot longer than the audience is going to want to tap into this. Maybe we can get you on another time. But if people want to get a hold of you, as far as other than just searching your name, is there a specific way or easy way you'd like to give our audience here?
So both Julie and I are at Julie at c2v.com or Scott at c2v.com, and you can type in c2v, v as in Victor.com, into a search engine, and it'll take you out to our webpage. On the webpage, you'll see some of this more detail of what this is at. You'll see some examples of a visual design graphic, the strategy of a company, that vision, that design of their operating pattern. And so there's some stuff that you can see out there as well. Brandon, I appreciate the opportunity to share. I think that leaders in America have this opportunity to really touch people's lives, change them to the benefit in a fabulous way, at the same time bringing strength and achievement and excellence to their organizations, and make those organizations wildly profitable, wildly successful, world-class leaders in where they're at. And our goal really is to help leaders wake up every day and find ways to be a world-class organizational leader.
Right. Excellent. I've told Mike Rother that many times, going back 10 years or so ago, that when I recently told him about it, I said, Mike said, when I read your book and started really working on that online guide, and what ended up was the practice guide that he published, I said, yeah, that completely changed my career, changed my life, changed about everything about my family. As it's a complete change, just in that one instance. And I thanked him for it and everything. And
Yeah.
Mike's a very humble guy.
Yeah,
So,
he is. Yeah, absolutely.
well, I appreciate you coming on today, Scott. And we've given the people the information if they need to get a hold of you. I want to just say how much we value you and Julie out in the continuous improvement community. And hopefully we'll have you on sometime, and or we'll be face to face and can talk more about do more shop talk and talk about some of the successes you're having.
Love to do that, Brandon. Thanks again.
Thanks.